I'm 3, it's in the middle of the night, no reason for me to be up, I'm just wandering the house. I'm walking down that hallway and like I kind of feel like a calling, like, hey yo, come down to the basement. Like I felt like something kept drawing me down to the basement. The door was wide open and it was mad dark down there. I walk to the front of that staircase and I'm looking down, I'm looking at the steps, and it's like someone pushed me. Some force flung me from where I was standing, and like this is the top of the step, this is the bottom where it makes a right turn and the railing, and I'm 3. So this is me, and I just get pushed so fast, like that. Before I could blink, I'm that far midair, haven't hit a single step. Like I know, like looking back on it now, I know like if I hit the floor, I was done. That was the end. Hello, my name is Corey Thomas. I'm 25, and I'm from Pensacola, New Jersey, and this is my testimony. Did I grow up in a religious-based household? I would say no. Like my family, we wasn't ever like religious in the same aspect of like we went to church, we did this, we had like a faith system. It was more so like a set of like openness. Like we was very open family. We wasn't closed off to anything, and I never really understood what that was until later on in life. I just took spiritual experiences as they come and tried to fit that into my own view. I'm gonna start at the very beginning. So there was so many spiritual experiences that formed me growing up before I met him, and it kind of revealed my belief and what I was heading down. So my first ever spiritual experience happened when I was like very little. I was like 3 years old. This is like one of my core memories, one of the memories that I remember too when I think of that time. So we used to live in this house in Barnegat, and this was like a real old house, like built when the country was built type house. Everything, it was so old, everything was crumbling, foundations was rotten, like there was so much like draft, so much creaks and stuff like that. And we used to have this basement. In the basement, it had like steps going down, and it turned on a diagonal. And since the foundation was settling, all the steps was uneven. Like you had steps going this far out, this low, this high. It wasn't working. And if you fell down those steps, the railing was rotted out, so you grab onto that, it's coming down with you. So I'm 3, it's in the middle of the night, no reason for me to be up, I'm just wandering the house, and I'm walking down that hallway, and like I kind of feel like a calling, like, hey yo, come down to the basement. Like I didn't hear nothing, like hear her, but like I felt like something kept drawing me down to the basement. Usually the door's closed, but for this night the door was wide open and it was mad dark down there. You couldn't see anything. It was just a black door and steps. So I'm over here, I walk to the front of that staircase, and I'm looking down, I'm looking at the steps, and it's like someone pushed me, or like I jumped. Some force flung me from where I was standing, and like this is the top of the step, this is the bottom where it makes a right turn and the railing, and I'm 3. So this is me, and I just get pushed so fast, like that. Before I could blink, I'm that far midair, haven't hit a single step. Like I know, like looking back on it now, I know like if I hit the floor, I was done. That was the end. But as I'm like still flying forward, I felt like a presence drag me all the way back up to the top, like whoa, boom, right? Grabbed me and planted my feet right up to the top of that step, and I'm just like, what? Okay, and I go on and just go on about whatever 3-year-olds do. Completely wasn't even aware of that stuff happening. Fast forward a couple years, I'm maybe like 5, 7, and it just comes to my remembrance. I'm like, yo, what? This happened, and I'm a little more experienced. So I'm like, yo, why? This shouldn't have happened. So I'm like, I go to the only thing that I knew how to go to at the time, my mom. I'm like, hey mom, like I tell her the story, like, hey yo, I remember this happening. I know it wasn't a dream. Like I know it wasn't a dream. Like you just know sometimes. Like yo, like this really happened. Like a memory. And she tells me, like that's when she tells me the story of like how that house was. And she tells me like there was so many spiritual experiences that happened to all my family in that house. Like my two brothers, right? I go up to them. I ask them what happened to them. I go up to them. They told me while they were on their bunk beds in the middle of the night, their closet door opened and they saw like a red eye looking at them through the closet. He was sleeping when it happened, but he felt like a presence, like, oh, if you move, you die. Like some evil, dark presence just flowing at him with such strength that he was like, oh, if I move, I'm dead. But he opened his eyes, he looked at the closet, he saw this eye. And he's like, yo, I'm freaking out. So he wakes up. My older brother, who's in the bunk above him, he was like, hey, yo, Cam, do you see what's going on? You see what's going on? He gets up, he's like, what? He said, look at the closet. He looks at the closet and then he says the same thing. Like, yo, do you see that eye? Yeah, what's going on here? And then they felt that presence. They sat there staring at this eye that's staring, this entity staring back at them with like evil intent for like till dawn happens. I don't know what time they woke up, but they said it stopped around 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning. The energy dissipated. Then they got up and they ran away out the bedroom. I'm like, yo, that's wild. I go talk to my mom. She tells me her stories. She has so much. Like, she would get up, doors would open for her. She'd walk to the bathroom in the middle of the night, the door would open for her. We had a gas stove. The burners would turn on and off randomly. And if y'all know how like gas works, like you got to do that intentionally. Ain't no wind can do that. Like you got to press in that thing, turn it, click, 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 poof, right? It's intentional. And ain't no way that could just happen without some type of interaction. Those would turn on randomly. And she told me about a story of her cousin who used to live across the street. His name was, I think his name was like Clarence or something. And he had some sort of mental disability. It was so bad that the doctors of the time said he wasn't going to live past 8. And he ended up living till 33 years old. But what he would do while they were growing up, like me and my mom was growing up, or him and my mom was growing up, he would get up and he would run across to their house and like open up all the doors. He would just open up every door and he would turn on the burners and he would leave. And like he would just do that just cause, like, you know, I don't know why. But that stuff didn't start happening until after he passed away. And this is what she told me. She told me like, yeah, oh, Dennis was his name, not Clarence. It was cousin Dennis, that was his name. And that stuff didn't start happening. So that was one thing that happened to her. Another thing that happened to me and her and my dad were cleaning up the living room. And we used to have like a toy that would, it was like a toy phone that was on wheels. Kind of like one of like a landline type phone, like one of those home phone type phones, right? Little kid's toy thing, battery operated, whatever. And they were cleaning up the living room, and they hear a ringing, right? And they're like, what's that? Then from under the couch, this toy phone that had wheels rolls out under the couch into the center of the living room on its own. And they looking at each other like, yo, this is weird. And then it starts ringing again. And they know it shouldn't be ringing because they told me they took the batteries out because it was annoying them. So they didn't want it to work properly. So they took the batteries out and it's still ringing. Not only did it roll out on its own under the couch, it started ringing in the middle of the room. So that toy was not long for that house. It was thrown out that day, never seen it again. But that was another thing that they told me that happened in that house. And then even my sisters have an experience to where that same energy that was looking at them, looking at my brothers, like my sister had that same feeling come over her, right? But it was from the hallway. So the hallway door was cracked and she like felt the shadow looking at her through it. But my little sister, who was a year older than me at the time, like my youngest sister, my older sister woke her up, said, hey, get up, close the door. And she got up, was like, huh, close the door, okay. Walked up to the shadow, closed the door, everything cool, the feeling went away. So basically, my older sister freaking sent my little sister off as a freaking sacrifice or whatever. And that was her only experience with it. And one of my other brothers and my mom had the last experience with the house, they told me. That basement that I told you about earlier, it was a man cave. So it had the biggest TV. It had like the biggest couch. It was kind of like a home movie theater, right? And my brother and my mom are sitting there watching some movie on the VHS, and while they're watching the movie, in the top right corner of the room, a black cloud appears, like it's like a shadow, like a foggy shadow, but all the lights are on, and that corner never gets dark before. So all the lights are on, this black cloud appears, and from that black cloud, that same evil feeling, like that if you move you die feeling, emanates over them. So, excuse me, they're sitting on the couch, they get that feeling, and they can't even watch the movie. They're just staring at this cloud. They say maybe like 10, 15, 20 minutes later, it leaves, and then they get up out of the basement. So like there was so many dark spiritual experiences that happened in that house. And like from my perspective, the only one that wasn't so dark was mine, because I didn't really experience all of that, but I experienced something to where my life was spared. And I found out later from my great aunt, because she used to live in that house too. Now she did a whole, I don't know if she still does it or not, but she did a whole bunch of like messing with Ouija boards, doing seances, tarot readings, a lot of like witchcraft in that house. And she did that with her friends, and this stuff didn't start happening till after that. And I heard that story from her about way longer after I heard the stories from my family and what they experienced in that. So that foundation, like that spiritual base, kind of like pushed me forward into like the next encounters in my life. Fast forward a couple years, I'm in elementary school, and it was one of those days where it's like, we have nothing to do, watch a movie day. But instead of watching a movie like we usually would, they brought in this, I don't know exactly what it was, like a meditation counselor. I don't know exactly what he was. It's been so much years, but he taught us like how to meditate. So he walked in, he was like, all right, today class, we're going to be meditating, cross your arms, heads up, 7 up, like, and we're going to like, and do like, say some mantras and like turn off all the lights. So after we do that for, I want to say like maybe 30 or 40 minutes, I'm owing and all that, I hear I hear a pop, like a click, like that type of sound. I open up my eyes and I'm floating in the middle of the universe. It's like was slapped into space, and I can see galaxies around me. I can see stars, and I feel like a warm, I would say tingly feeling, but it was like a calmness. And I was like, what is going on here? Like, yo, this is wild. So I'm just in this weird space, whatever that I was, for like 5 minutes to me. And then I hear a bell ring, and like I pop back into where my body was, and everybody's getting up, like, like they just were sleeping or whatever, and heading out. I'm like, I see like I'm the only one who experienced this. Like I'm kind of freaking out. I'm like, yo, what was this? Like, what was that? Right? So that kind of led me down a path to like searching after that. Like, what was that feeling? What was that? Right? How come doing this led to that? Right? Fast forward even more years, middle school, high school type age. I think I was in middle school though. I learned about something called lucid dreaming, right? If y'all don't know what that is, it's when you can control your dreams. And I learned how to do that through like YouTube videos and other, online sites and stuff like that. And then that experience, me being able to do that, was like, oh, this realm, this spiritual realm that I was thrust into, like I could have control over that. So it was like a power that I enjoyed at such a young age, because I didn't really have any power growing up. Like it was a lot of traumas and a lot of stuff that kind of took that away, and it gave me some sense of control. Like I couldn't control where we lived, where we moved, where we slept at, but I could control my dreams, and I could control spiritual stuff, right? So I kind of fell into that lucid dreaming stuff. So once I learned how to do that, it led me to learning how to astral project. If you don't know what that is, it's when you send your soul outside of your body, or your spirit outside of your body, right? So I'm learning how to do that. As I'm learning how to do that, I'm getting closer and closer to learning how to do it, but I hit this barrier. It's like you break through, and you're going to get it after you break through. But every time I got there, immense fear over me, immense burning, like a flame I've never felt before. Like, it was like a warning fire. Like, don't do it, right? And just a fear would wash over me. I'm like, right? So it like pushed me back from it. But then I would try to push a little bit further, push me back from it. During this time, I'm looking at how to break through this barrier, right? And then say on YouTube, I'm looking at how to break through this barrier. And then the next video would autoplay being a warning, like, don't do it. Then I would look at another thing that trying to progress, and then it'd be next video would be somebody's experience, like, it's not good, don't do it, right? It was a constant back and forth, like, don't do, like, and at a certain point, I got scared. I'm like, all right, I don't know what's going on. I'm not gonna deal with it. So I kind of like shut that side off for a while, and like try to live my life regularly. Now, at this point, right, I didn't think any religion had it right. I didn't think any belief system was correct. I didn't think any of them had the whole truth, any of them had full truth. I thought they were all aspects of the same truth. They all were saying the same thing. They all were parts of one thing. That's what I thought at this time. And I was like, I'm not going to subscribe to any of them fully, because who are we to say we know everything, right? That's how I felt. That's how I thought. So I always knew, because of my experiences beforehand, that the spiritual was real. That stuff was real. Spirits were real. Demons were real, because I experienced them and my family experienced them. But I was more so like agnostic, with a little bit of new age in there, right? And as I got older, it was more and more new age falling in, and it led to a lot of dark stuff in my life. So I stopped paying attention to the spiritual stuff, tried to live in my life, and just doing what I wanted to do, living how I thought I should live. And eventually all the stuff I was doing started catching up to me. So fast forward a whole bunch of years after this time, I graduated in a relationship, first son's being born, and I'm trying to live up. I'm trying to live up to what I didn't usually have as a kid. Trying to not put those same negativities onto them that happened to me. Now, I grew up with a father, so that's not the thing I was dealing with. It was just, growing up in poverty and being homeless for a good majority of it while you were a kid, always moving around. It gets a bit difficult. You can't really have a lasting connection with someone because you don't know if you're going to see them tomorrow. And I didn't want to give that to my kids. So I'm kind of battling the person who I am trying to become, while also battling like the person who I was, and doing it through my own strength. And I failed a lot. And this is where the demonic attacks started getting real heavy. And being a person who would lucid dream a lot, like I would get nightmares when I was a kid. I would get sleep paralysis. I would see demons and stuff like walking all over me, sitting on my chest, all that. But I would know the difference between a nightmare and an attack, because a nightmare, if you could lucid dream, you could control it. You could just switch it out like a game level, or like switch it out like a movie set, right? You have the power, or you think you have the power. And when these attacks started happening, I couldn't do that. So the first attack, right, it's my kid wasn't born yet. I'm in a relationship. I'm sleeping. I think we in some hotel room, mad white walls. I wake up, right, the super bright lights come from the window, and I wake up. I'm like, what is this bright light going? The TV's kind of like staticky, like, the black and white pixelation type stuff. I'm like, this weird. I look to my right, nobody there. I'm like, oh, she must have got up, went to the bathroom or whatever. So I try to get up, can't move. I'm like, oh, I'm sleep paralysis again. I know how to deal with this. Let me try to, do the stuff I usually do to get out of that. But then this freaking, it's kind of funny thinking back on it, but this big-headed, mega mind looking alien, like the little gray people, that the freaking comically cartoony kind of like alien, just started kind of like walked up, like stood up from over the headboard or the footboard on the other side of the bed. And I'm looking and I'm like, oh, this is hilarious. This is a nightmare. I know what this is, right? And I'm staring at it, and it wasn't immediate sense of fear, because like I guess you could say I used to worship aliens a little bit. So I was like, oh, cool, this is a cool experience. And then that same feeling, like the if you move you die feeling, I never felt it yet to this point that my family did, but that same feeling that I heard about, that they felt when that stuff was happening in that house, washed over me. So now I can't move. And that feeling of fear, like, oh, move, die, you move, death, death, death. And I'm like, yo, this is a nightmare. I know what this is. I try to control it. And as I'm moving that level out, it stops and it locks itself back in. And then that wave of fear and death gets stronger. And then I try to do that maybe a couple more times, and it gets stronger, a stronger fear every time it fails. So it wasn't me who was in control. It was this entity that was in control. And it was showing me that it had the power to do what it wanted, and it could have did whatever it wanted at that time, right? That is what it was trying to make me believe, or like trying to get me to believe, right? That it had the power over my life, that this fear had the power over my life. And I'm freaking out. In the physical, I'm having a night terror. I never get night terrors, but I'm over here. I heard from the girl I was with at the time. I'm over here flailing, screaming at the top of my lungs, help me, help me. And she's trying to wake me up. She told me after, she's trying to wake me up. And I'm not waking up. And then she eventually she pushes me hard enough where I get up. I'm like, oh, what was going on? And I'm freaking out. I'm shook. And I tell her what's happening. I told her what the dream was, and she was like, oh, that's not good. That don't sound good at all. Something's wrong here, right? That was the first time. The second time, it's when my firstborn was born, and I'm trying to be better for him. But as I'm trying to be better, I'm failing a lot. And I'm just feeling I'm just feeling worthless. Like all the stuff I was doing wasn't working out. Everything was being blocked. Stuff I was going after would be successful at first, but then something I would do would just I would just shut down. I wouldn't know how to handle that. The pressure was getting to me, and all the problems with the relationship, it was all getting to me. But I'm trying to be better. So this next attack comes. At this point, we've moved in together. She's my fiance. We moved in together. I'm research, and I'm doing a lot of research on evil, because I was battling a lot of evil. So I'm researching it, looking at things, learning stuff about the occult more so than I was when I was a kid. Learning at that stuff, and I was like, it was a crazy stuff I was learning, and I'm like, yo, wow. But I go to sleep. It's one night, and I wake up, and it is a gray room. You can't see walls, but it's like gray walls with maybe smoke rising up from the bottom. And I'm looking around, right? I'm like, nobody's here. What's going on? I'm looking around. This is a weird dream. And then out of the shadows, this man walks up. Now, if my memory serves me right, he was kind of Arabic looking, I would say. Kind of in that. He had slick back, wavy hair, well-kept beard, clean gray suit, black shirt, black tie. He had it on. He had it on for real. And I'm looking, I'm like, what is this dude? Who is this dude? What's going on? And he walks to me and he says, I see what you're doing. I see the changes you're trying to make. And I'm like, okay, yeah, what of it? Like, who are you? Like, what is this? And he says, it ain't gonna work. You say you're this, but you do this. You trying to change this, but this is who you are. Like, you're not who you say you are. You're not who you think you are. Because if you were, you wouldn't be doing this. And he would just speak so much negativity over me. Like, he was speaking so much death over my life. And every time he would speak, it was like a sword was getting stabbed through my body. Like a new sword, boom. And I would try to block it. It would go right through my arm, stab my body, but it wasn't like a physical body. It was like my spirit, my soul. And it was such an incredible pain. I was like, yo, like, what? No, I'm not like that, because this is what I'm doing. It ain't gonna work. This is what you always did. This is how you always fall. Boom, getting stabbed again. It was so bad. It got to a point where, like, I'm over here trying to fist fight him back, but it's not working. Like, he's dodging me. He's hit me like Mike Tyson, and I can't do a single thing. All the while he's still talking. He's still stabbing me with these freaking spiritual swords going through me, and I have no clue what's going on. Like, it's such a heavy experience. I felt like I was in there for days. At this same time, I'm freaking out again in the physical. I'm freaking out again, like night terror. Help me. Like, saying what I'm saying in the dream, it's not working. She's woken up. She's trying to wake me up like before. And I don't remember this part. Like, after this, I don't remember, but I heard from her that she slapped me like on the side of my face, mad hard, like I had a bruise. And I wake up and I'm like, oh, why didn't you wake me up sooner? And I'm a mess. I'm a mess for the rest of the night. And she's trying to help me. You know, the next morning I tell her what happened, and she says to me something that, like, kind of stuck with me. She's like, oh, you got a demon on you. Like, you got something's following you, is what she said, right? And I fully believe that night I was attacked by Satan, like the devil himself. Like, I fully believe that. So that it kind of shook me for the rest of, you know, it shook me for a while, because it's like, yo, like, man, what's going on? But, like, I'm not really worried about it, because, like, oh man, I've dealt with evil stuff before. Like, it ain't nothing new. Like, I've dealt with it before. I'm still here, type stuff. I wasn't as wary of it as I should have been at that time. And even looking back, when we first moved into the apartment, we was watching a movie on the living room, and from the kitchen, a loud noise was heard, like a neighbor punched the wall. It was like a boom hit from the kitchen. So I get up to investigate, and there is a black handprint on the far side on the kitchen wall, just right there, like kind of like tar. So I walk up in there and I try to, like, wipe it off, and it doesn't move. She peeks in there. I say, like, hey, look at this, right? Like, hey, isn't this crazy? And she's like, oh no. You know, she's like, it's like, no, I'm not messing with that. That's, you know, demons, all that stuff. I'm like, man, we ain't got to worry about no demons, right? Not worried about it, right? That happened when we moved in. So something was following me, right? Fast forward a couple more years, everything's crumbling, everything's falling apart, relationships shot, I'm trying to freaking hold it on together, freaking kids not liking me, because I'm just angry for no reason. I was never angry my whole life. I was always a peacemaker. I was always a calm person, right? But after a while, like, just anger, I would get over it. I would lash out on people. Like, my sons would do something. It would just make me so mad, and I'll be like, yo, what are you doing? Like, I would scare them, right? And that's never who I wanted to be, right? So it's like all that was happening. And this is, like, I want to say last year, towards like September, November-ish. Her aunt came over, and we just, you know, we shooting the stuff. We're talking about the Halloween upcoming, what we gonna do for it, stuff like that. And I start telling her, I'm like, hey, yo, I got some scary stories, right? And she's, my ex-fiance is like, oh, here he goes again, telling these stories. because she heard them 1,000 times at this point. So I tell her on, I'm like, yeah, this is what happened growing up. I used to live in a cartoon haunted house. All these demons and stuff was, all over. So she's hearing this stuff. And then she says to me something that stuck with me again, right? Something's following you, the same way my fiance said it before, right? And then that kind of like snaps me out. Like, I'm like, oh shoot, something is wrong here. Like, this isn't normal. Wait a minute, I should probably look into this. And that kind of leads me to looking up what happens after you die, right? Because at this point, I'm still, agnostic, still spiritual, right? Spiritual. And I'm thinking like, reincarnation's real. This is real, ancestor stuff is like, real. All of it is real at once type stuff. And I'm like, what happens? Like, let me look further into it. So I'm looking up near-death experiences, people's testimonies, what happens, after they either medically passed away, were revived, or, they had some horrible experience like that, or really good experience. And a lot of it was what they were saying was lining up with what the Bible says, if not one-to-one, very, very similar. And at this point, I never read a single page. I ain't read a single page of the Bible. I've read some of the Quran. I was taught a lot of Eastern like spirituality and stuff like that, and a lot of New Age stuff. But I never thought about doing a Bible. I was like, yeah, I already know the Bible. I've seen the movies. I live in America. I know what the Bible says, type stuff. But I'm like, let me actually go look into this, because they're saying stuff that lines up from what I know. It lines up very similarly. So I'm making a point, like, all right, let me go start reading the Bible. But I didn't want to do it alone. So I go up to my sister, right, my second oldest sister at this time, and I tell her, like, hey, I'm about to read the Bible. She was like, okay, what do you want me to do? And I was like, I didn't want to read it by myself, because I'm going to be honest. I was like, I'm not going to read the Bible. That's lame, right? I'm not going to be honest. That's how I felt. And I was like, I didn't want to read it alone, because I didn't want to be lame by myself at the time. And I go up to her like, hey, I want you to read the Bible with me. And then she says, like, in this mad deep voice that's like not hers, she says, I ain't trying to read the Bible. You can go off and do that by yourself. Why would you tell me to do that? I'm like, what? Like, at this time, I first time experienced anything like this. I'm like, chill, hold up. I ain't slap you. Don't talk to me like that. But I'm like, all right, go ahead. You do whatever. I was just asking you if you want to read it with me. You ain't have to be like that. All right. And I just walk away. But I'm like, yo, that was weird. Like, now I know that was a manifestation. But at the time, I was lost. I'm like, yo, what the heck was that? So shortly after, this is November now. No, my bad. Early October now. And I start reading it. I start off reading Matthew. I go on, read Mark, Luke, John. And then, like, after that, man, it hit me. Everything it was saying hit me. It showed me, like, what was happening that I didn't know. And it spoke to me like the Quran didn't. It spoke to me like freaking New Age didn't. It spoke to me like freaking Hinduism, Buddhism didn't. And I'm like, yo, this is just like, wow. And it just showed that mirror up to me who I was and who I should be. And I was like, okay. So I'm in my car, and in the front seat, I'm by myself, and I give my life to the Most High. I give my life to Jesus, and I surrender everything to it. I say, whatever I've been doing hasn't been working. My life is proof of that. If this is like what it is, like, I'm gonna give it to you and see what you do with it. And then right after that, it's like a presence behind me in like the back seat of my car gets up and hugs me. It like arms around my shoulders, like a physical body presence. Like, no, I couldn't see anything, but like a physical body presence hugs me. And a blanket falls from like the ceiling and like covers over me. And it was like an incredible warmth, an incredible like peace, an incredible love I've never felt before. And I'm over here like, oh my gosh, this is really real. And ever since then, it's never been the same. Like, that's where he encountered me, right there in my car by myself. Just took me as I was. And so much has happened after that. So much has happened after that. Describe my life in Christ now. Oh my goodness. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I lived more life in these past 5-6 months than I have in like 3-4 years. Like it's been constant. It's been constant growth. It's been constant learning. It's been constant just pruning, constant shedding, and constant fruit. Like it's been amazing. Like first, like right starting off from the rip, like what God did, he showed me who he was at first. Like I would be thinking a thought like, oh man, how am I gonna feed my kids this week? Like I ain't got no money. We ain't got no food. It's like, what am I gonna do? And then I would think right after that, like, man, I really do want some tacos, but I know we can't be doing that right now. And not even, a whole day later, fiance comes back from work and she has catering tacos from our favorite taco spot that their job got for work. So spontaneously, nobody ate. So we just had we ate tacos for the whole week. And I didn't even pray that. I just thought it. And he was like, here you go. Wanted to show me that like, I'm in your thoughts. I can hear your thoughts and I will provide for you. Know what I mean? Like stuff like that, right? That was like my first experiences. I'm like, oh man, it's so dope. And then my experience with deliverance. So there was a lot of, when I got saved, like my appetite for certain things changed completely. Like it used to be, I couldn't go to sleep without touching myself in the morning or the night. I couldn't go to sleep. I couldn't wake up without either. I couldn't start my day. But after that, it's like I didn't have no appetite to do it. This was an addiction I had ever since I was like 9 or something. I was like, I felt gross even thinking about it. I'm like, what? Completely changed my appetite for it. And he's been doing stuff like that with a bunch of stuff, right? And shedding those things off of me, right? Or giving me the tools to shed those things off of me myself, or through his power. And that was like my deliverance experience. Is like he kind of showed me, or he kind of led me to a place where, there was this guy online and he would tell me, he would, pray things and, like do a sermon, and then like I want to say virtual deliverance. And I'm sitting there, I'm, repeating the same things he's saying, casting out the same things he's saying, renouncing things. And I'm over here, I wouldn't say throwing up, but I'm like yawning uncontrollably. And like when I first did that, it was like in like my chest, like it was like something snapped, and I started just yawning uncontrollably. So I'm over here casting stuff out. And after that, my shoulders physically lifted up, like everything was higher. Everything, I felt so much lighter. It was so much heaviness I didn't even know I was carrying that was on me that I had to cast off. And though that was my first, like, I want to say first month or two, like in him. After that, there was seasons where he was taking me through, where he was shedding things off of me that weren't for me, because he sees what people are saying behind your back. He's there for those. He sees what plans people have set up for you, what evil people are setting up trying to do. And he separated me from that, doing a whole lot of that. And also taking my heart to a place to where I could understand his love and deal with that evil that was to come. And that was another big thing he did. And right now I'm kind of like in a season of rebuilding, and just rebuilding and just discipline. Yeah. So that's what I'm learning right now. And he's brought me back in contact with people I never thought I'd be in contact with again. He brought me back with old friends that I would have no idea what happened to them, and then we talk, and we have such similar stories where he was working on all of us at the same time. It's so crazy. Like he was doing his thing. He was doing his thing, and it's so beautiful to see. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what comes. I'm excited to see what comes, because the obedience truly leads to blessing. Because he can't bless you when people are around you who those blessings aren't for. He can't bless you when you have stuff attached to you that he's trying to get rid of, right? So he's preparing you for the blessing, because if he blesses you too early, you're gonna fumble it. But that's what the devil does. The devil gives you what you want right there, but that always comes with a price, right? He builds you up so you can walk into your blessing, and that's what he's been doing. That's what he's been doing, and he's been giving me little droplets here and there, and I'm just ready. I'm excited. I'm ready. If someone were to walk up to me and ask, like, why should they follow Jesus, I would say because he is the truth. Like, I've tried all the things that claim that they were the truth, and they weren't, right? The fruit of my life beforehand is the proof of that. So, like, he's the truth. Like, he is the way. Like, he will do more for you than you think, right? And blessings will truly come from that.